Global's Marney Blunt will question the leaders about crime and safety. Marney.
Thanks, Mary Agnes. My first question is for Mr. Canoe. Mr. Canoe, you've laid out your public safety plan, which promises to be tough on crime and the root causes of crime. Many of these promises will take significant time to build on and establish. Meanwhile, crime's rampant right now. We've seen a record number of homicides in Winnipeg last year. Numerous families are hurting, and at the core of much of it is a mental health and addictions crisis. If elected, what immediate action will you take to crack down on crime within the first 100 days?
Bail. We'll start with bail right away. There's no need to wait for other levels of government to take action here. We can implement bail reform at the provincial level. And so within the first 100 days, to your question, we will direct the Ministry of Justice to implement stronger conditions on bail to keep you safe in the community. And so yes, we are committed to being tough on crime and tough on the causes of crime. But I think we all see that what's happening right now, because you mentioned addictions right now, that things are worse than they've ever been. They certainly feel that way, and many of the statistics back that up. So we know that we need to tackle this issue. And when we move to the causes of crime, here's where I want to make a direct commitment to you, the people of Manitoba. I am committing, should we get the great honor of serving, that we would, over 2 terms, end chronic homelessness in Manitoba. We have to bring the business leaders together with the not-for-profits, with the various levels of government. But anytime we see a bus shack or a bridge or an encampment, we know we can do better. It's time to end chronic homelessness in Manitoba.
And that brings me to my next question, which is for Mr. Lamont. Mr. Lamont, your party has campaigned on the Liberals being the alternative between the PCs and the NDP. Yet one of your promises to address crime is to have addictions and mental health workers working in tandem with law enforcement. The PCs already have a similar program running. The NDP have promised something similar. How will your promise differ and improve upon what's already in place?
Well, I actually want to address something that Mr. Canoe said about homelessness. His party is promising to end homelessness 8 years from now. There are hundreds of people who live on the streets of Winnipeg. Over half of them used to be in the Child and Family Services as a result of the policies of these 2 governments. They were stranded on the street by these 2 governments who took them from their families and abandoned them. We have promised to have same-day housing. It'll take 2 years to set up, but the idea is that you don't wait 6 months, which you have to right now, to be chronically homeless. We have to address homelessness as an act of reconciliation, because 70% of these people are Indigenous. And for the NDP to say they're going to take 8 years to address homelessness, when we could be doing it now, because they don't have the money and because they want to balance the budget faster, means we're sacrificing people on the street instead of rescuing them. That's what we should be doing.
And a lot of what you're talking about has to do with prevention and preventing crime happening. But I've heard from a lot of advocates who say the people that feel like the forgotten part of this equation are the victims.
Yep.
What will you do to support the countless Manitobans that have already been victimized or are currently being victimized by crime?
You know, I met someone who had a family member who was murdered when I was door knocking last night. And I talked to a bunch of seniors who are running out of food. This is a really, really hard time in Manitoba. It's really, really hard. But I'm very proud that we've always been standing with victims of crime. In fact, sometimes we're the only party to stand with victims of crime. Because whether it was making sure that we committed to the search of the landfill, whether it was standing up for survivors of Peter Nygard, that's something we've been committed to, but making sure that they are put at the center of what we need to do. We need more victim services as well.
I'm going to have to move on to my final question, which is for Ms. Stephenson. Ms. Stephenson, you mentioned the search of the Prairie Green landfill and that your government will not support the search, but other organizations, including the Assembly Manitoba Chiefs, have said that the search can be done safely. Now, of course, this has raised concerns over issues on trust and just how seriously your government takes the issue of murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. Considering this issue has so much heartbreak behind it, for Manitobans at home now, why won't you take another look at having a further discussion on searching this landfill?
Well, first of all, my heart goes out to those families and those communities who have lost their loved ones. And that's why, we are investing in programs to help prevent this from happening in the first place. We were out just last week with Quest, a treatment partnership with First Nations, helping First Nations and working in partnership. That's true reconciliation, working together, 180 more beds to help ensure that we prevent those people from prevent MMIWG from getting into the situation in the first place. We need to focus on prevention.
Given that
but I will tell you again, sometimes people have to make tough decisions. Leaders have to make tough decisions. This is one of those tough decisions I had to make. But in the report, it says very clearly that there are very significant risks associated with searching the landfill. I cannot, in good conscience, put workers' health at risk doing that when there is no guarantee of finding the individuals that they're talking about, the bodies.
Thank you, Mrs. Stephenson. You'll have a chance right now. In fact,
thank you for watching the CBC Manitoba YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For the latest breaking news and top stories, download the CBC News app.